Frazier and the Nittany Lions are 6-2. Frazier's back from injury and leading this Penn State team into Pittsburgh, where the Panthers are 7-0. The Big Ten ACC Challenge comes your way next. The Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. The 15th challenge all time, but it's the first for Pitt as a member of the ACC. And these two longtime in-state rivals are meeting for the first time in 8 years, and they're excited about it here at Petersen Event Center. And it is all part of Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN. As we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. A great cause all week long here on ESPN. And hi again, everybody, alongside Brooke Weisbrod on the very loud and ruckus Oakland Zoo. Adam Aminahan, listen, I know if you're a basketball fan in Pennsylvania, Nova, Drexel, they may be grabbing some of the headlines, but a lot of reason to be excited in Pittsburgh and State College right now.
These two teams could be playing anything in any sport, and it is going to be a huge rivalry game. You know, you got Pitt coming in at 7-0, off to a good start, starting to get some national love. Penn State, a team that's trying to prove themselves, getting Tim Frazier back in the lineup is huge for the Nittany Lions.
And he's part of the headliners in our one-on-one tonight. Tim Frazier coming back from injury, and Lamar Patterson, another veteran, they headline it tonight.
Well, you talk about two guys that are complete all-around players. Tim Frazier, great at putting the ball on the floor. This guy gets the line 20 times against St. John's. And Lamar Patterson has continued to get better his last 3 games. He's averaging 21 points a game. He's bigger, he's faster and stronger, and he's going to be looking for the ball.
We'll look at our starting lineups first for the visiting Nittany Lions. Same starting lineup they've had in every game so far. DJ Newble is second in the Big Ten in scoring. Frazier is third so far this season. Meanwhile, for the Pitt Panthers, they've got that great sophomore in James Robinson handling all the point guard duties. No more Trey Woodall on this team. Lamar Patterson and Talib Zana anchor that great front line that has out-rebounded teams by 13 this year. Non-conference opponents all time here at the Petersen Event Center are 105 losses to just 3 wins. Penn State looking to do something that only 3 other non-conference teams have done. Frazier starts it off for the Nittany Lions in red-hot fashion.
Well, okay, Timmy, just come right in and start firing. Clearly, the Nittany Lions are not intimidated to play against the Oakland Zoo.
Wright finds the freshman Michael Young, rejected by Jack, and Young will go to the foul line. The Pitt Panthers off to that 7-0 start. Penn State is 6-2, their best start under Patrick Chambers. They meet for the 146th time, but they have not met since 2005. The Panthers coming off a 17-point win against Duquesne on Saturday. That was their lowest margin of victory so far this season against any opponent. They're 7-0, winning by an average of 24 points so far. Young averaging 6 points a game. A true freshman from Duquesne gets Pittsburgh on the board, and we're tied.
Yeah, both clubs going to start off in going man-to-man, just trying to put some pressure. You know, the main ball handler for Penn State's going to be Tim Frazier. He's been responsible for most of their offense in years past. Of course, he was hurt most of the year last year, but he's the guy that creates from any angle.
Frazier on the deck over Robinson. That's going to be a tough assignment all night long for James Robinson, Pittsburgh's best on-ball defender. Will get a tough assignment of either Frazier or Newble each time down the floor.
I think it's a good test because, you know, you play for Jamie Dixon. You better come here ready to play some defense, to dig your heels in, to sit down and be ready to defend, and to be ready for help side defense as well.
Hard-nosed head coach Jamie Dixon has only missed the NCAA tournament once in his 10 previous seasons. Meanwhile, Patrick Chambers took the Terriers of Boston to the NCAA tournament in his time, now in his 3rd season at Penn State. Former assistant at Villanova, a Philadelphia native. Taylor against Petersen. Off the rim and the rebound to Michael Young. Both these teams averaging over 80 points a ball game in the early part of the season. Cameron Wright has stepped up this season, guarded by Jack on the perimeter. And a post up Young against Taylor. Good defense by Taylor. Shot clock is down to 5, but here comes Penn State. Frazier on the push. Dumps it off, and Ross Travis finishes. And Tim Frazier's speed has been back really since the summer when Penn State went on that European tour.
He said that is the moment where he felt like he was back 100%. And for a guy that spent 2 to 3 times a day inside the training room, he said he prepared as if he were going to play a game. And that's how he got better, both physically and mentally. And good help side defense to get the block and to run it down for the fast break. Robinson
to Young. Zana fighting for position underneath with Donovan Jack. It'll stay with the Panthers at this end of the floor. We mentioned Penn State is 6-2 under Patrick Chambers, their best start under Patrick. Their 2 losses have come to Bucknell and on Saturday to Ole Miss by just 3 points. Marshall Henderson scored 19 in that game for the Rebels. And Tim Frazier was held to just 9 in that game, but as we've already seen, he looks like his old self before the Achilles injury.
And Henderson coming through with a couple of clutch free throws down the stretch there to save that game. And good defense on the inbound there by Penn State. I really loved their energy this morning. They are the first team in I don't know how many years I've seen. They came in with an enormous speaker. It was like a boombox. Turn on the music, and it was go time.
Pitt has always been about high defensive intensity. We're seeing that from Penn State in the early going.
Seeing a good help side defense, too. That's Tim Frazier coming all the way across to help out in a simple but beautiful bounce pass.
We said both of these teams have done very well offensively in the early part. They're both pushing the tempo, and look what Penn State is doing offensively. Not turning the ball over and improving their offense in an incredible way. Now that Newble, who had to really take over the reins last season when Frazier was out, and Frazier are back together now, this seems like a really good offensive team that could give some teams some problems this year.
The only problem with Penn State right now is, from what I'm seeing, they're not a very deep team. So you got your 2 prime scorers in Tim Frazier and DJ Newble. And we saw Ross Travis with some flashes of some athleticism today, both in shoot-around and in the warm-ups here. So you're going to need a big guy to come in and really establish himself, whether it be Donovan Jack or Ross Travis. But your primary scorers on this team are going to be your guards.
Deron Johnson has checked in for Pitt. Cameron Wright left the floor and headed back towards the Pitt locker room. That's all of a sudden an area of concern as a foul is called on Frazier. This is Cam Wright headed back towards the locker room, and it doesn't seem like anything is bothering him physically. Again, just looking at him from the naked eye, but he is headed back towards the locker room.
But his right hand is taped up, so maybe it was just a situation where he needed to go get it retaped, checked out or something. But he didn't look to be in pain when he left the floor.
Petersen called for the traveling violation, and another Pittsburgh turnover, their 3rd already in the first 3 minutes of this ballgame. Both of these teams are in the top 15 of the country in fewest turnovers and top 10 in assist-to-turnover ratio this year. In the corner, it's Travis. Zana, good position inside for the rebound. He's Pittsburgh's leading rebounder this year. He battles down low against Taylor. That's going to be some matchup over the course of the night tonight.
Taylor doing a good job, too, of pushing him out of position and really working up the front of the lane, so Pitt's having trouble getting it to the inside. The one thing that they are is patient. This Pitt Panthers team, they share the basketball extremely well, and they look for their opportunities to attack.
Newble on the deck over Petersen. Banked it in. E.J. Newble. Only Nick Stauskas of Michigan is averaging more points per game so far in the early part of the season.
You just saw exactly what they like to do. They want to drive. So Pittsburgh's got to do a better job of shoring up that inside paint and forcing Penn State to try and beat it from the outside. It's a good patient move there by Robinson. With that jab step, allow the defense to feel like you're going to shoot, let them go by, and you've got a clear path to make the shot.
Ball is palmed, a turnover for Penn State. Tied up at 6 in the early going. You need 7 wins in the Big Ten ACC Challenge to clean it up. ESPN News exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And in part by T. Rowe Price. Understanding the connections of a complex global economy. Invest with confidence. In the heart of the Steel City tonight for a Pennsylvania matchup that's been 8 years in the waiting. Pittsburgh's dominated the last few meetings that have taken place between these two, but good to see Penn State and Pittsburgh squaring off once again. A lot of fans, a lot of the coaching staff's been talking about it. They want this game, and Patrick Chambers' teams looks like they want this game. Off to a good start, tied at 6.
Right out of the gate, Tim Frazier with a quick 3, and they've shown some guts on defense, really bodying up to Pitt. And you know, you always think of a Pitt basketball team as being extremely physical, big guys. It seems like they reload with the same body types each season. And their main priority is to share the basketball. They've got good guys, good big guys too, Adam, that can pass the ball inside.
I see Penn State has lost the last 5 meetings in Pittsburgh against the Panthers. The last win in the city of Pittsburgh against the Panthers for the Nittany Lions was 1978 over at Old Recreation Hall. Deron Johnson, way off target, and Frazier's a good rebounder, so is DJ Newble. The guards can get out if they rebound in transition. Just the first rebound, though, so far for the Nittany Lions. That's going to be a big factor tonight. Can Penn State get tough on the glass against one of the best rebounding teams in the nation in Pittsburgh? Newble with Peterson's hand in his face. Taylor tips it and corrals. Good effort there by Brandon Taylor, averaging a dozen points a ball game. Sophomore from New Jersey.
And only averaged 5 a game last year. So you talk about somebody that stepped up for production, increased his scoring average, and he lost 30 pounds.
Talib Sana, 6'9", 230-pounder. He's the 4th different Panther to score the 8 points. Taylor got loose in the corner for 3, left it short. Regardless of size, a lot of guys on Penn State are going to shoot the 3 from their 5 spot all the way back down to their guards.
Well, Taylor's their best option for 3-point shooting, and he's not afraid to step out there and do it. And in so, that stretches the Pitt defense and allows Newble and Frazier that lane to go in and drive, because that's what they want to do.
Young missed the easy one inside. Penn State looks for the lead. Good play by Robinson. There's Allen Roberts, the grad student from Miami, and he's going to hear it now. James Robinson fires a three off target. Pitt has not shot well the last 2 ball games from three-point range. Over the course of the season, they have shot pretty well from everywhere on the floor.
You know, Patrick Chambers told us today in shoot-around that he wants to keep Pitt from shooting the three-point shot. It's the team that'll fire it up as Tim Frazier draws the foul. But so far, from what I'm seeing from Penn State, they're doing a great job of defending from the inside out. When Pittsburgh's trying to look to go to lead Zana, get it inside, get a couple easy buckets. But their offense becomes stagnant because Penn State's doing a great job of playing help side and recover, fronting the post, and making it difficult for that post-entry pass.
Subs on both sides. Derek Randall and Jamal Artis into the front court for the Panthers. Taylor will get a breather as Julian Moore, the lengthy freshman, comes in. And Tim Frazier at the free throw line, where he has been spending a lot of time, just as he did a couple of years ago before the injury. He is an attacker. He gets a lot of points from the foul line.
Just ask Marcus Smart how good of a theory that is. I mean, it's great. It's great to get yourself to the line. You're getting the other guys in foul trouble, scoring some easy points. And it gets the rest of your team into a mindset, too. If they see you attacking and you taking that lead, it's contagious.
Here is Randall, the Rutgers transfer, and he will go to the free throw line. And, of course, the Big Ten ACC Challenge continues tomorrow night on ESPNU at 7:30 Northwestern. Their new coach, Chris Collins, getting set to take on Mark Gottfried's North Carolina State Wolfpack. Then at 9:30, Miami coming off that outstanding season last year. Watch out for Tim Miles' Nebraska team. 7:30 and 9:30, Big Ten ACC Challenge on ESPNU. Derek Randall, transfer from Rutgers, left after the Mike Rice scandal. Going to find a new home out of Brooklyn, went to prep school in Connecticut. He gives this Pittsburgh Panthers team some more depth in the front court, as Taylor will come back in. Ross Travis will get a breather for Penn State.
You know, Randall's strength coming in off the bench. He's a big body. He's a left-hander. He started for Zana when Zana missed that first game for a violation of team rules, and he's a great guy to come in and give you some production on the offensive boards.
Frazier around the screen from Moore, into Artis and one. We keep saying it, and we're probably gonna say it, but Tim Frazier looks like his old self.
I'm always impressed by guys who can not only drive, but once they elevate, he takes contact, stays with the play, and finesses the ball, and then lands right on his feet.
Listen, Frazier is 170 pounds soaking wet, but he's a lot stronger. And we talked with Brandon Spain, who's the strength and conditioning coordinator for Penn State basketball, and he was raving about how strong Tim Frazier is. Probably stronger now than he was before the injury. He's already got 7 points tonight.
Gained a half inch on his vertical leap, but came in at 145 pounds.
He was smaller.
He'd be invisible out there if he's 145 pounds.
A strong drive by Artis, but deterred inside by Penn State. Nittany Lions lead by 3. Taylor pass right. Newble, a great rebounding guard, comes flying in. Shot clock still running. It's at 17. Moore. Here comes Pitt on the push. The freshman Newkirk. The Cam Wright, who's back into the ballgame, looks like he may have a fresh tape job on his right hand.
And having Newkirk in the game adds an element of speed that Pitt has not seen for a while. I mean, this is one of the fastest guys to get here. And that's a great guy to get involved. You got Artis coming off the bench, a good mid-range shooter. And Jamie Dixon will go 10 deep on his bench. So what he didn't like out of his guys for the first 8 minutes of this game, he's not afraid to hit the reset button and to try a new set of guys in there.
Graham Woodward, number 3 for Penn State in the game as well. He'll help handle the point with Frazier on the bench. Trying to get him an extra breather with the media timeout coming. There's the freshman Woodward out of Minnesota. To the grad student out of Miami, Ohio. Roberts couldn't connect. Nearly took it away. Loose on the deck with Newkirk. They got a whistle on the floor. And Penn State has a 1-point lead. And Tim Frazier's already got 7 points in this game. It was 5 games into last season when Tim Frazier ruptured his Achilles tendon. And we'll talk about how he's gotten back on his feet when we come back. Frazier, 5 minutes into the 4th game of the season last year, ruptured his left Achilles tendon, was granted the medical hardship for a 5th year. Hydrotherapy, an extensive amount of stretching, pool work, trying to get back to 100%. You see the scar that was left after the surgery. And John Salazar, the athletic trainer, has done extensive work with Tim Frazier to get him back to where he needs to be. And based on what we've seen in the first 8 games of the season and tonight, Tim Frazier looks like he very well could be back to form, maybe even a little bit stronger.
You know what impresses me was really what he talked to us about, his approach for rehab. And you see his responsibility for the offense. I mean, 58%, that means assists, that means points. And what a great job John Salazar did with getting him back into prime shape. You know, pool work, stretching, all of those little things. But he said he was in the training room 2 to 3 times a day, and he approached it as if it were a game day. If they had a game against North Carolina, then he was thinking, okay, I'm getting ready to prepare to play.
As if I was playing North Carolina, sure.
On it. He was instrumental in when you spend that much time, you got to get your body ready, but you got to get your mind ready too. So when you're thinking as if it's a game, you're doing 2 things at once.
You dealt with back injuries over the course of your career, and you said that the mental aspect was just as tough to get over as the physical.
It's just hard to trust what you can and can't do anymore. Clearly, there's been no drop-off for Tim Frazier.
Jamel Artis, the freshman, on his way to the free throw line. Foul on Graham Woodward. 5 team fouls now on the Nittany Lions.
Good anticipation there by Artis to understand as Donovan Jack was coming out, not closing out, just really contesting the shots. So we found the open, and that's, to me, is what Pitt needs to do. They need to try and look inside, put the ball on the floor, give themselves to the free throw line. This is a team that can shoot from the outside. Artis, a 56% field goal shooter. Right now, to me, Pitt needs to establish that inside game. Then it'll open up a couple of shots, get a few turnovers to get that momentum going, and to get this zoo a little bit louder.
We're tied for the 6th time tonight, 13-0. Frazier back on the floor. Here's Donovan Jack. Anybody will shoot it on this Penn State team from the outside. He was off target, and here comes Pitt looking for the lead. Right. Well short. Newble and Frazier. 2 and 3 in the Big Ten in scoring so far this season. They're both in the game. So is a good 3-point shooter in Graham Woodward. And Penn State struggling. 1 of their last 8 from the floor. Here comes Frazier. What a move inside, but could not finish. Pitt on the push. A good pass inside right. Newkirk gave him a good dish, but he could not finish it at the other end. Here's Woodward all the way inside. That may have been deterred by Petersen. Zana with the rebound, and Pitt comes back. And Newkirk got bumped in the open floor. Donovan Jack will get called for his first foul. Robinson back into the ball game. Brandon Taylor will get a breather for Penn State, as will Josh Newkirk. 1 more foul against the Nittany Lions will put the Pitt Panthers into the bonus. Clear on the floor for Zana against Jack. Pitt struggling from the floor suddenly, too.
And for Pitt, a very good, historically rebounding team. And Penn State's doing a good job of keeping them off the boards and keeping them to 1 and done.
And Frazier draws the 2nd foul on the freshman, Jamel Artis.
Penn State will continue to use that high ball screen to try and create an area of movement just so Tim Frazier can drive and get in the lane. Because once he's in there, he's got a lot of different options. Obviously, he can pull up and hit that short jumper, change speeds and gears and directions and get to the bucket or dish it off to his guys at the last minute.
Frazier seeking to the corner for Ross Travis. Travis, turnover. Second on Penn State so far. Again, two teams that do not do a good job of not turning the ball over the course of the season so far.
See, to me, offensively right now, Penn State needs to change from using that high ball screen, because especially when you got Talib's on it, guarding that and hedging it so hard, you've got no choice but to go way around it, and it allows Pitt to recover back defensively. There's just not a lot of options that are coming out of that move and out of that set, so change things up a little bit. See what else you can get with some movement, maybe some back screens. Just some more motion in offense. You can't just have that one high ball screen and expect for things to develop from it when Pitt knows how to defend it.
Both teams in a field goal drought right now for nearly 4 minutes. There's Gino Thorpe, another underclassman, a freshman out of Pittsburgh. 13 for Penn State. Frazier off balance and off target. 0 for their last 7, the Nittany Lions from the floor. Right picked up by Julian Moore on the switch, and he gets called for the foul. And now 2 on the freshman from Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. Now shots coming, 1 and 1. For Cam Wright. Redshirt junior out of Cleveland. Career high 20 on Saturday against Duquesne. He's been in double figures 5 of 7 games so far. Moore's going to come off the floor now with a couple of fouls.
Cameron Wright really playing well the last 3 games, averaging 15 points a game. Jamie Dixon telling us he's the most improved guy, and this staff telling us they've been blown away by his improvement in his ball handling skills, his shooting, but really his confidence. They say he is 100% more confident than he was last season.
First lead for the Panthers here tonight. Cam Wright gives it to him, and you see his hand retaped up. Left the floor in the first 4 minutes. They came back after seemingly getting that hand retaped. He's the 7th different Panther to score already in this game. Largest lead of 2 for Pittsburgh. Penn State is led by as many as 3.
Cameron Wright now going to face guard Tim Frazier, just trying to keep him from touching the ball together, but sometimes that could work against you. Now, if he can move well without the basketball, you see he's got it now, but sometimes you can move around and really open up that defense. Come off a couple screens, ready to shoot. I just think Pitt is defending that screen and roll so well right now. It looks like they've changed over to possibly a 2-3, or maybe they're just switching on the man and disguising it as a 2-3.
And now Wright comes back out onto Frazier. 5 on the shot clock. Frazier trying to make something happen late in the clock, and does. 9 tonight in the first half for Tim Frazier. We're tied for the 7th time tonight.
That's what experience gets you. Patience, understanding how long 3 seconds really is.
Petersen inside off to Young, and he'll go to the free throw line on the other side. Great start for Tim Frazier in this ball game. He's got 9 of Penn State's 15 points. He's doing it big in the early going. He's tied us up once again. And on the other side, Anish Shroff has an update on the rest of the Big Ten ACC Challenge. All right, Anish, good stuff, and a good one in the early going here at Pittsburgh as well. Tied up at 15 apiece. And Penn State and Pitt squaring off for the first time since 2005. A lot of folks have been talking about wanting to renew this matchup, and we've got a couple of people that are big names in-house tonight that are Penn State grads that have ties to the Pittsburgh area, and they're here as well to take it all in as Michael Young is at the free throw line for the Pitt Panthers. Frank Coonelly is the president of the Pittsburgh Pirates. What a year they had, making it back to the playoffs for the first time in 2 decades. And Andrew McCutchen winning the MVP. Frank Coonelly is a Penn State graduate, and he actually talked to Patrick Chambers and the Penn State Nittany Lions this morning, and a great message about sticking together, not giving up, not letting a few low years get you down. And the Pirates are the perfect example of that. 20 years, and finally they're back in the playoffs this past fall.
Yeah, great feel-good story this season for the Pirates, but growing up in Cincinnati,
I know,
it hurt a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Totally understand.
I'm happy for them, though. I'm not a hater.
At least you guys make the playoffs, unlike the Cubs. Shot clock at 10 and the ball in the hands of Frazier, who's got 9. Newble finds Frazier underneath. Those two are fun to watch together, and Frazier's the first man tonight into double figures.
How about the off-balance pass there by Newble? I mean, he had nowhere to go and just caught Frazier at the very last second. And Frazier to have a peace of mind, too, just have the awareness, have the space in the post to set up for the pass.
Johnson off target on the 3. Penn State takes over. It's tied up once again at 17. Newkirk comes off the floor. The foul on Wright was his first and just the 4th against Pittsburgh. On the drive, it's Frazier. Somehow able to spin it off the window and in. 13 points already for Tim Frazier.
You know what made that move, Adam? The way he caught the ball and really sweep the ball through so quickly. That's what made the move. That's what got him open. And then his athleticism, that's where that half inch to the extra vertical comes into play right there. The hang time underneath the basket.
Robinson against Frazier. Fun matchup here. And a foul called on Frazier. That's his second, and he picks it up with 5:43 to go.
And watch when he comes off the ball. Watch when he catches the ball in the corner. There's no hesitation to when he catches it and gets past right, but the athleticism to finish the play under the arms of Derek Randall, a big guy who's looking to pin that ball against the backboard.
Frazier's got to come off, though, now, as James Robinson, the outstanding sophomore point guard, draws the bump and goes to the free throw line. I still sometimes don't understand how James Robinson doesn't get as much national play as one of the better young point guards in the country. And I know Pitt's starting to get back into the national scope with the 7-0 start. But Robinson was one of the best point guards coming out of high school, out of one of the best high school programs in the country in DeMatha. And still not a lot of people are talking about.
You never wonder, or you always wonder, I guess, why some guys just fly below the radar. I mean, he was a starter last year. He had a good assist-to-turnover ratio. I mean, to me, when I watch Robinson play, I feel like he sees 2 to 3 passes ahead. Yeah. He sees the plays developing as they come. And so far this season, 34 assists to just 6 turnovers. And that, to me, is impressive. That's a guy who's running your offense with efficiency. He
gets a second crack on the free throw because Ross Travis was called for a lane violation. And instead, we get tied up once again, 19 apiece. Pitt already to the line 12 times tonight. They've hit 11 of them. Taylor posting up against Robinson. A bit of a mismatch here. Wright helping on the double. Zana came over to help defensively, and Taylor still gets it in. They'll go to the free throw line with a chance at 3. One of the nation's top players highlights ESPNU's Big 12 SEC Challenge. Marcus Smart didn't perform all that well in the loss to Memphis. A little bit under the weather. He was held in check, but he'll take on South Carolina and the Gamecocks Friday at 9:30. Again, everybody's talking about him, maybe the best player in the country. Certainly you can argue that.
Well, I think so. I mean, you got a guy who's probably tired of hearing about all these fantastic freshmen that are come through, and he's like, where's my love? You know, I had a good season last year. He game, of course, against Memphis the first go-around. You knew there was no way Josh Pastner wasn't going to let his guys get rolled over like that again. They really proved themselves, and it was a good test for Memphis. And how about the drive there from Newkirk? Blazing speed. The first time I looked at him, I was here a couple weeks ago for the Lehigh game. Had no idea where he was from, but I looked at him and I said, for some reason, he reminds me of Chris Paul.
Wow.
It turns out he's pretty quick.
Travis over Zana. Petersen the rebound on the weak side. Beautiful pass and Wright missed the layup. Loose ball and Thorpe runs it down. Crowd wanted a traveling violation, but here comes Penn State. Newble shaking on Wright. And a very late foul called on Cameron Wright, and that'll be his second.
It's a tough stretch of plays there for Cameron Wright, because not only do you miss a pretty point-blank layup, but you come down and get called for a foul. You're just trying to stay in front of your guy. That's a tough call. I will admit it was a late whistle here, but let's watch again to see where he was. I mean, you don't see any contact from that angle. Now, it doesn't mean from the waist down he didn't give him some of the body, but from that angle it looked totally clean.
Newble coming off 23 against Ole Miss. He puts in a pair of free throws. Penn State matches its largest lead. Now Wright has 2 fouls. Robinson has 2 fouls. Artis has 2 fouls for Penn State. And the Nittany Lions force a turnover, and Thorpe takes it in. And the Nittany Lions have their largest lead, and Jamie Dixon will call a timeout. Patrick Chambers said he wanted to be aggressive defensively.
I think you have to be. You can't come into an environment like this and play timid at all. And I've been really impressed by the way these Penn State guys have come out to battle. They started it on the defensive end. Of course, the game began with the Tim Frazier 3 less than 6 seconds into the game, and they've really proved themselves defensively.
Well, it is Jimmy V week here on the ESPN networks, and of course, we urge you to donate what you can. Just some of the facts that just open your eyes and make you realize exactly what it is that we're fighting. 1 in 2 men, 1 in 3 women will develop cancer. 1.6 million new cases this year. 14 million survivors alive today. The most common cause of death amongst children. If you can donate to the V Foundation for Cancer Research, log on to jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V. 100% of your cash donations directly awarded to cancer research. 4:15 to go in the first half. Frazier's been saddled with 2 fouls since the 5:43 mark when it was a 2-point Penn State lead. Now it's a 5-point lead for the Nittany Lions, their largest of the first half. Jones and Newkirk, a couple of freshmen on the floor. They go to the veteran Zana against Taylor. Deron Johnson comes away with that loose ball. He was deterred inside, but Petersen gets a fresh shot clock.
And this is a strength for Pitt. They are good on the offensive boards, and they just need to get more aggressive down there. How about this? Less than 4 minutes to play here in the first half. Lamar Petersen just 2 points so far in the night.
And Pittsburgh trailing by its largest margin in this opening half of play. First meeting in 8 years, and the Nittany Lions lead it by 5. Anish, thanks very much. Back and forth here in the opening half. Penn State leads it by 5. 3:39 to go, and our journey to the tourney, highlighting games that are going to make an impact once March rolls around, takes us to Wednesday night of the Big Ten ACC Challenge with North Carolina taking on #1 Michigan State. 9 Eastern Wednesday night on ESPN. Also on Watch ESPN. Some of the numbers for James Michael McAdoo, who did come back despite some potential flirting with the NBA draft. Keith Appling, part of the veteran core for Michigan State. But I still can't figure out North Carolina. They beat the national champs, the defending champs in Louisville. They lose to Belmont, which I don't think is a bad loss. Belmont's a very good team.
No, I agree with you
But
there.
a loss to UAB the other night, we're still trying to figure out who the heels are.
I just don't understand how you go from scoring 93 against Louisville to 59 against UAB.
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier today. I think North Carolina is a team that steps up to the level of their competition.
Or plays down sometimes to the level of their competition.
Right, and I agree with you that Belmont is not a bad loss at all. We saw them last year, around March, and they're a strong team. They've always been a veteran-type team, but North Carolina, you need to show up for this game, and I think they will. Marcus Page, a sophomore, another guy to know in the ACC. It should be a good game. I hope I'm somewhere where I can watch it. That's all I ask for.
We see this. Pittsburgh has not trailed at halftime. They've led by an average of 19 points per game at halftime. They've won their 7 games by an average of 24. They're down by 7. Largest deficit of the half, and more pressure from the Nittany Lions.
And they're shooting 25% from the floor right now. Neither team has hit a 3, but Pitt at 25% field goal, that is extremely uncharacteristic for this team.
They shoot about 40% from the field. Shot clock at 7. On the deck, Petersen fading away. And that field goal percentage continues to dip down for the Panthers, who trail by 7. Still no Tim Frazier on the floor, saddled with those 2 fouls, but Penn State has built the lead and extended it with Frazier on the bench.
I think you look to go back to Brandon Taylor. I mean, he's been a guy for you in the first half, produced points. He's been physical. A little too physical right there, though. Lamar Petersen in the right place, takes the contact and takes the charge.
6th turnover for Penn State. So Julian Moore, who's got 2 fouls, the freshman, will come back in. Taylor picks up his 2nd, and not to insult Julian Moore, but he's a little bit more expendable right now. He only averages about 11 minutes a game. So they'll put him back in with 2. 15th annual Big Ten ACC Challenge. Adam Amin, Brooke Weisbrod at the Petersen Event Center. Non-conference opponents all time here at the Pete. 3-105. Zana on the tip. Could not corral, and he gets tied up with Thorpe underneath. And the possession arrow will keep it at this end of the floor. Robinson and Allen Roberts exchanging some words. Roberts, the grad student, transfer from Miami, Ohio. Robinson, the sophomore from D.C. And now the fans in the Oakland Zoo showing their disapproval, as they are wont to do.
You can't say too much right now. You're down by 7 points.
Something they're not used to right now. They've won all 4 of their home games this season. This is fun. I'm glad that this rivalry is back up. And I know some people won't think it's a rivalry because it's Penn State and Pitt. They're playing for the first time since '05, but they've been meeting for a long time. 146th meeting all time between these 2 in-state foes. We've had a good one in the first half. Petersen got into a tough spot, got it off to Young, and more Pitt free throws coming up. They're 11 of 12 already at the line so far tonight. That's keeping them in this game. You see this, the tombstones that they've been showing for all their wins so far. Savannah State, the Bulldogs of Fresno, Howard University. They're lining these up. Lehigh, you were there for that ball game, but
Yeah, that one was over.
that was seemingly over early. But Penn State's giving them a scare right now in the Petersen Event Center. And we said it. Not a lot of non-conference teams come in and get a win in this building. And Tim Frazier, who comes back into the game for the first time in 3.5 minutes, trying to do just that, get a rare non-conference win at the Pete.
Clearly, Patrick Chambers has enough trust in his point guard that he won't get into foul trouble. But, will that dictate how how aggressive he is on the offensive end. If you're Pitt, I'm on offense for Pitt. I am looking for 23 to make contact to try and get him that third foul, because that would be huge. We talked about Penn State's depth. And you see Pitt changing over to a 2-3 zone.
Yep.
And trying to keep Penn State out of the middle of that paint. They've been driving and getting the ball inside.
Travis trapped in the corner. Dangerous pass, and Johnson with the pick. Here come the Panthers. Hard to hedge. Petersen comes loose with the ball and gets it home. One of the best atmospheres in college basketball. Penn State and Pitt for the first time in 8 years. I know we keep talking about it, but everybody has wanted this rivalry to come back. We mentioned Frank Coonelly, the president of the Pirates, was here tonight. Some more luminaries are in town to see the physical play between these two. It's been a little ugly at times, but it's been physical and fun.
And sometimes these broken plays are just enough to get your momentum back. And Patrick Chambers calling that timeout. He was livid with his guys, probably from the turnover. You get caught in traffic and double-teamed, and Ross Travis double-teamed in the end, tries to throw a cross-court pass without any speed behind it. Results in a turnover. Deron Johnson playing good help-side defense and awareness. And Pitt's going to stay in that 2-3 zone.
You get a foul here against Newkirk. And reached in as Frazier tried to blow by. Newkirk called for his first. Both teams in the bonus. This will be a 1-and-1 coming for Tim Frazier. He's a 79% free throw shooter. Already 60-plus free throw attempts on the season. And he misses one, a rarity there. Panthers down by 3. This to tie. Deron Johnson ties this up again. 28 all, a minute to go for the first half. Newble for the lead. Rebound for Roberts. 7-0 run for Pitt to tie us up. Jamie Dixon wanted a moving screen called on Ross Travis there. Shot clock at 17. Frazier. All first half. He's got 15 of Penn State's 30. Shot clock turned off. Pittsburgh will have a chance to tie or take the lead going into the halftime break.
Tim Frazier stays so low coming off that screen. That's what allowed him to get that open jump shot. He was able to stay low and turn the corner.
Who wants it? It's Petersen. Clock down to 3. Petersen to tie the game. And for the first time this season, Pitt trails at the halftime break. But they close out the first half on a 7-2 run. But Tim Frazier, 15 of Penn State's 30 points in the opening half. We kept saying it, but he looks like his old self. Can Penn State hold on for a rare non-conference win here at the P? 2-point game. We go back to the studios for SportsCenter halftime. Here's Anish Shroff.
Penn State with a 2-point lead. Anish Shroff for the studio alongside the former Maryland great Adrian Branch. AB has said before the game, a healthy Tim Frazier gives Penn State a chance. We're seeing that against Pittsburgh on the road.
Just what the doctor ordered. Again, folks, you hadn't seen Tim Frazier because they hadn't won a lot of basketball games, but this young man is shooting with a good percentage, 15 points, hard to guard. And he's doing that against James Robinson, who's one of the better point guard defenders. Now, in this game, watch for it to continue to be a low turnover, high assist game. This is just who they are. It's not flashy. 2 Pennsylvania schools going at it. You just heard the presidents are excited. They're getting it back on. This is what it's going to be like again in the second half. It's going to be a no-nonsense, no frills, tough as nails second half.
Penn State Pitt, part of the Big Ten ACC Challenge, also part of the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Indiana visiting 4th-ranked Syracuse. These two played in the Sweet 16 last year. The Orange knocked off Indiana, which was a 1 seed at the time. Trevor Cooney, just 27% from deep last season, 46% this year. Syracuse scored the game's first 10 points. Leftover stuffing from Thanksgiving for Jeremy Grant. Syracuse up 7. And then Yogi Ferrell started shooting over the zone.
Key guys that got relaxed on that in the second half, made the adjustments, and that was the first lead they had in the second half.
Ferrell again, he had 9 points, 3 of 5 from deep. That 3 capped a 13-3 run. Trevor Cooney, though, is a starter, more confident with the outside shot this year.
Well, believe it or not, you're not going to get a lot of scoring from Bay Musakita down low. You're going to get it from the three-point line. But Indiana got relaxed. They're looking at the battle of the boards. It's almost even. And again, in this game, low turnovers by both teams.
Yogi Ferrell's got 9, right about on pace to hit his average of about 18 points per game. Meanwhile, for Syracuse, we've seen in the early season some growing pains from the backcourt, but some promising signs from young Tyler Ennis after Maui.
Yes, controlling the game. They don't need him to do a lot. They need him to just get them into their sets, be the first line of defense against penetration, especially against that zone. And so far, he's done that. But the story of this game is it's not so much of Syracuse. It's about Indiana and the attitude that they're coming out. They had not shot the ball well coming into this game, 29% from the three-point line. But the lid loosened up in the last 5 minutes of that half. They started making shots. So look for them to be a tough out in the second half. If they make shots from the three-point line, what is it, Syracuse big guys won't beat you with throwing it in the post and trying to get double-doubles for you.
Indiana struggled against the zone in the tournament game last year. This zone for Syracuse not as good as the one a year ago, especially not as big up top. Illinois looking to make it 8 straight wins to open the season, taking on Georgia Tech. That's Kendrick Nunn, the 3, played on Jabari Parker's high school team. Malcolm Hill leading the break. The layup in transition. Illinois up 8 midway through the first. Rayvonte Rice, he had 9 in the first half. Illinois connected on 5 of its first 10 three-point attempts. Illini up 7 at that point. Now a 4-point game. Chris Bolden.
When you're playing on the road, it always helps to make shots, especially at that three-point line. It calms you down and usually helps your defense.
It helps when you're wide open, like Robert Carter Jr. was. Usually. He led all scorers with 10 points in the first half. South Carolina State taking on Clemson. The Tigers looking to start 5-0 at home for the first time since the 08-09 season. Devin Joynes stops, pulls up, gets it to go. South Carolina State up by 9. Then in transition, Jordan Roper to Devin Coleman for the deuce. Clemson takes a 1-point lead. More from South Carolina State. Karan Wright, the corner 3. That was Adrian Branch-esque with that lefty shot.
You're too young to remember that. You got an old spirit.
Jaron Blossom game. Is that not the best name in college basketball?
Oh, yeah. Welcome back, too. He's been injured last season.
Speaking of welcome back, Tim Frazier. He's back for Penn State, making a difference. 15 at the break. around campus. Florida guard Scotty Wilbekin out indefinitely with a high ankle sprain. Remember, he missed 5 games earlier this year due to a suspension. News out of Eugene, Oregon's Marcus Mariota will return for his junior season. Mariota 30 touchdown passes to just 4 interceptions this season, and 2 Penn State assistants on the football team have resigned. The Big Ten ACC Challenge continues tonight on ESPN. 2 top 25 teams. Michigan, which played for the national championship a year ago, taking on Duke. Different Michigan team, certainly a different Duke team as well. And I think with Duke, of course, you start the conversation with Jabari Parker, a great freshman class. Forget about potential, what they can be at the next level. At this level, Parker's been the best of the bunch, arguably. He
has been as good as it advertised. He can score from anywhere on the floor, and the efficiency has been off the charts. He's been averaging 23 points a game, but shooting an impressive 62% from the field. Look at this play. This is on the break. Folks, he's 6'8", 225 pounds, and he's a young pup. He's not thinking about the NBA right now, living in the moment, makes the extra pass. I asked Coach K, what's the difference between he and Grant Hill? He said Grant was more like a guard forward. He said Jabari Parker thinks anywhere on the floor, he thinks he can be efficient.
Defensive efficiency for Duke, that has to be an alarm. We saw Vermont shoot 65% from the field against
Oh,
Duke.
my goodness. The tail of the tape right here, guys. Look at that defensive efficiency. That is not a Coach K team. You don't get over 900 wins if you're having 114. They have to make a commitment to defend. Offense becomes a lot easier. They don't strain. They make the extra pass on the offensive end. But that commitment to defend, and yes, they're not big. They're not a shot-blocking team. But you still have to have a willingness to win your individual matchup and your team matchup.
Something to watch for, how much Nick Stauskas plays for Michigan. He's the Wolverines' leading scorer. He's battling a bit of an ankle injury. Pitt needs more from Lamar Petersen in the second half. Their leading scorer, which is 4 points at the break. week for cancer research. You can donate to the V Foundation by logging on to jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4JIMMY-V. 100% of all direct cash donations are awarded to cancer research. DJ Newble averages better than 19 per game for Penn State. Only 4 in the first half, 1 of 3 shooting. Penn State, though, up by 2 on the road against Pitt.
Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Penn State 30, Pittsburgh 28. First meeting in 8 years in this Pennsylvania showdown. And Tim Frazier was the story. He had half of Penn State's points.
Now this was 4 seconds into the game, that 3, and from then on he was able to really create a lot, really off the dribble. And 15 points there in the first half, able to get through in the paint off the dribble, off that high screen and roll. Meanwhile, Pitt took some while for them to get it going, but off this broken play here from Petersen, and he's only got 4 points for the game, Adam, but this was the 3 that really helped get Pitt into a good groove going into the locker room. You know, keep in mind 9 different scorers for Pitt there in the first half.
Look at the first half stats. 1 of 10 combined from 3, but Penn State just -4 in rebounding. They're outscoring Pitt in the paint, which doesn't happen all that often. It was physical. There were only 9 turnovers. There were 10 ties. Good old Pennsylvania hard-nosed showdown. Tim Frazier with 15. Lamar Petersen held to just 4 in that opening half of play. Penn State led by as many as 7. A 7-2 run to close the half for Pitt to get it back within 2. Travis off target. Cam Wright with Robinson on the floor. Young, Petersen, and Zana for Pitt. Same 10 that started the game are there to start the second half. Newble, Jack Taylor, Frazier, and Travis for Penn State. There's the freshman Young, blocked by Jack. Shot clock continues to move to 10. whistle, and a foul is called. We'll get Ross Travis for just his first foul. A handful of players on both sides actually ended up picking up 2 fouls, including Tim Frazier, in that first half of play.
I'm just watching Jamie Dixon and his body language in that set. He's really frustrated with the lack of movement from his guys. He kept screaming, motion, motion, get in gear here.
Frazier! Look back! Able to throw it down. Remember the half-inch vertical leap extra that he added? I think that helped a little bit.
That sure came into play there.
17 for Tim Frazier. Zana. And one. Talib Zana. Just his second bucket of the game. And he'll go to the free throw line, but Frazier picking up right where he left off in the second half.
And you love the hustle. I mean, you don't even see Frazier in the screen until the very end. Picking that ball up off the rim in the hang time.
Remember, Tim Frazier is 6'1", a generous 6'1", so pretty impressive hops. Meanwhile, Zana able to complete the three-point play. That's back down to 1. The foul was on Donovan Jack. That's his 3rd. That's a factor. So is the crowd. Travis wave out the shot attempt. Foul is called on DJ Newbill. Just his first foul of the game. Florida State, Minnesota. When we're done here, Florida State's played really well in the early going this season. Their lone 2 losses to Michigan and Florida by a combined 3 points. 1-point game here. Jack in the middle of that zone. Gets past Zana, but got it knocked away by Petersen. Pitt looks for the lead. Right.
That's exactly what Pitt needed. They needed a quick score off of a turnover. I was just getting ready to say they'd be better served to try and take an early shot to just get some momentum, crash those boards, look for an offensive rebound if you miss. You know, Penn State's obviously a very patient team, and they're looking to space the ball, move it from one side to the next.
Newbill. Remember that Deron Johnson 3 in the first half. Same friendly rims on this side of the floor. DJ Newbill's got 7. That's the first 3 of the game for Penn State. Cam Wright had space, got closed out by Travis, and resets to Petersen. Petersen, the pitch to Robinson, a 3. Frazier flies in. Ross Travis got to the bucket but could not finish, but Michael Young just lost the handle on the basketball, and Penn State will have it at this end of the floor.
I like how eager Ross Travis is to get to the rim, but it's just not been the right play. He's a really athletic guy. I mean, we saw him doing some reverse dunks and warm-ups in the shoot-around this morning, but you're taking too big of a step and you're trying to make a really kind of finesse move that isn't there. You've got to get closer to the bucket if you're Ross Travis.
That's a roll. Put it in the hands of Newbill. Frazier's going to run that baseline. With Pitt playing the zone defense. Roberts comes free. That's a 3. And he buries it. 0 for 6 in the first half, Penn State. They go 2 for 2 from three-point range early in the second. Largest second half lead for the Nittany Lions at 5. Right. He's feeling it. That one was short, though. It's tipped out by Frazier to Newbill. 3 on 3. Newbill into Robinson, and they'll get Robinson for a foul. From the naked eye, that looked like pretty solid defense from James Robinson. He'll get whistled for his 3rd foul, And we pick up right where we left off at the end of the first half. Physical play. The Nittany Lions didn't shoot well, though, in the first half. They're 2 for 2 from 3 downtown in the second.
Alan Roberts, the transfer from Miami, the graduate student. He said, I'd rather be a role player than be the man.
Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. We've seen that face a couple of times tonight from Jamie Dixon. His team down by 5. The Big Ten ACC Challenge continues tomorrow night. Northwestern, North Carolina State squaring off at 7:30, followed by Miami and Nebraska. Beautiful new Pinnacle Bank Arena. 7:30 and 9:30 on ESPNU. And watch ESPN. Mark Godfrey, the head coach of North Carolina State, a former member of the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the 1987 draft, picked 7 slots behind Jamie Dixon when he got drafted by the Washington Bullets. Billy Donovan, of course, after his great career at Providence, got drafted 68 by Utah. And somebody named David Robinson out of Navy was the #1 overall pick in 1987.
Scottie Pippen doesn't make the list?
Well, I mean, it was a limited list. There were so many good players, though, in that 87 draft. Kenny the Jet Smith, Kevin Johnson was part of that draft. Mark Jackson was part of that draft, absolutely. DJ Newble already with 4 points here in the second half. He had 4 all of the first half. Penn State has its largest lead in the second at 6. Bearing a couple of triples in the first 4 minutes of half number 2. Inside, Zana, +1. And Zana off to a hot start here in the second half. That's already 5 points in the second stanza for Talib.
Terrific exchange and screen and roll there. The read from Petersen to Zana. Just a real wide-body screen, but slid right down into position to get position. And Petersen finding him with that easy pass. Talib Zana has grown his game so much. I mean, think about playing down in the paint with guys like Steven Adams and Dante Taylor, just trying to find your way. He's always been more of a finesse guy who's starting to extend his range a little more. But what I see out of Zana is that he's starting to get a little tougher. You know, there's some attitude about his game, and I like that. I think that's something he needed to develop.
Taylor picked up his 3rd foul. Newble on the deck. Good defense by Petersen, but Newble was able to find space. He's got 6 in the second half, and he's into double figures.
And did you see how he turned his body at the last moment? His right shoulder then became a protector to keep the shot from getting blocked, and then he used the rim as the other part of it. A really smart move there by Newble.
He comes back for Penn State, up by 5. Newble with space, left it short. Newkirk the rebound. Petersen trying to split the D, using the left hand, getting all the way inside. Had just 4 points in the first half, averaging 17 a game. He's got 6 now tonight.
What I'm seeing from Pittsburgh that I didn't see as much out of as in the first half is they're really trying to find a way to get to the rim. They're using screen and rolls. They're looking for ways to get the ball inside. And Petersen looking for his shot right now. I mean, he's a guy that can shoot the three, but I think right now his comfort zone is going to be starting from the inside out.
Penn State nearly turning it over there. They haven't had one of their last 11 touches. Shot clock down at 6. New ball against Newkirk. Petersen tried to deter, and the rebound for Pitt. Wright against Frazier. Are they going to call a kick here or a foul? Tony Green had the call, and it's going to be a foul against Tim Frazier. It'll be the third on the grad student from Houston. I said Tony Green was kind of using his foot to say he kicked, or uses his foot maybe to trip Wright, but it was hard to see there. It didn't really seem like Frazier's foot got into it. And again, I only asked because Green was kind of signaling his foot when he called for the foul. That was an interesting call. And now 3 on Frazier. And we'll see how this affects him. When he picked up his second foul with inside of 6 to go in the first half, Penn State was leading by 2, and they extended the lead, even with him off the floor.
And with Newbill going out of the game, and one thing I had noticed about that, the last couple possessions, Newbill had been playing the point guard position and moving Tim Frazier off the ball. And now you got Gino Thorpe coming in, who usually gives Tim Frazier rest on the point guard position. So he's kind of playing the 1-2 combo. You see Tim trying to look more off the ball now.
And they bring in Julian Moore to try to get some size down low against Zana. And Zana with the pick against Frazier. Timeout, Penn State.
It's a big week, I think, in all of college basketball. I don't know if one person can say they haven't been directly affected by cancer. My mom had cancer. My sister's husband, my brother-in-law, died of cancer in the late 90s. And for Jimmy V to stand up, I just can't say enough about everybody stepping up to the plate and trying to help the cause.
Great work from Tim Miles, all part of Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. You can donate. Please do. Every single dollar that you donate goes directly to cancer research. Pittsburgh trailed by 2 at the halftime break. They've trailed by as many as 7. They've got a 1-point lead here. And Talib Zanna now into double figures, doing it inside, doing it out of the perimeter. He got a steal a moment ago of Tim Frazier, a guy who doesn't really turn the ball over, and Pittsburgh has taken the lead once again.
You can't underestimate the length and the reach that Talib Zanna has. And when he comes off the hedge, off that ball screen, I mean, it really alters the way that Penn State can run their offense. So I don't know that I would use the guy that Zanna is guarding to come up and set that ball screen. I'd go to somebody else because he's just eliminating what you want to do. You want to come off that screen and get right toward the basket.
Good pick and roll. Jack inside. Penn State back on top. Donovan Jack with his first points of the night tonight. They call him a stretch 5, which I think is an interesting term to use. He'll shoot the 3, and just about anybody on this Penn State team will. Thorpe ended up stealing it. Peterson's going to get called for a clear path foul here. There was no defender between Gino Thorpe and the hoop, so a clear path foul is the call against Lamar Petersen. That'll be his first foul.
That's good recognition here, quickly by the crew here, and you see Thorpe anticipating when Petersen was going to make the spin move, so he could come right around back in and almost foul him or try to double team, but he really read that play very well.
So Penn State get free throws here. That's what you have to look at now if you're a Nittany Lion, right at the screaming face and waving arms of Jamie Dixon and his caricature.
That's just the evolution of the big head come to life. That is just well done by the student crew here.
By the way, thanks to Mike Eads for coming over and letting us know it is a flagrant 1 call on the foul. And remember, the flagrant foul calls were issued last year and added to the rule book because there was no clear play on the ball. It was just a grab on the clear path foul by Petersen. So he gets kicked with a flagrant foul on that play. Penn State got the free throws. They turn it over. Penn State leads by 3. Thanks to Mike Eads and this veteran officiating crew letting us know exactly what the call was. Deron Johnson got 3. He hit a 3 in the first half. Petersen with the offensive rebound, and Johnson flowing inside. Chance to tie the game for the Panthers once again.
Take a look at this play here again. When Johnson comes into the game, his primary goal is to score. You see Travis trying to set up the charge there, but just gets there too late, and Johnson with some explosiveness. He comes in looking to shoot, but you sort of forget what a quick first step he's got. And some guys put the ball on the floor and don't do a whole lot with it, but not Johnson. Boy, he puts the ball on the floor and gets, feet and real estate behind those defenders.
Frazier's going to get a break before the media timeout. The foul was on Ross Travis. And Johnson looking to tie the game, stepping into a feature role this year as a scorer. The redshirt sophomore from Baltimore. And Pittsburgh has shot 19 free throws in this game. They've made 18 of them. The crowd wanted that ball to be called out of bounds, but you saw Mike Eads there apologizing.
Can you give a my bad? If you're a ref, are you allowed 1 my bad a game?
I think 1 mulligan. That was the one.
I allowed myself 1 air ball every game. I had to get it out of my system early.
You're going to get a reach-in foul here on Petersen from the backside with Jack in front of him. Lamar Petersen, his second foul. Both of them here in the second half. This is the 11th tie of this ball game. Travis blocked by Zanna. Petersen, a slow first half, trying to get going in the second. One end of the floor to the other.
Well, here's where it starts. The help side from Talib Zanna coming all the way over with his long reach, avoiding the foul. And Lamar Petersen with a beautiful in and out move from his left hand, just a quick shimmy shake to get his defenders off. And yeah, you do know what time it is. Time to get to that free throw line and finish up your 3-point play.
Another free throw coming up here for the Panthers. This will be free throw number 20 of the night already for Pitt. And suddenly they wanted to get Tim Frazier a breather before the media timeout, but he's back into the game now with Pittsburgh, with its largest lead of the second half at 2, and their largest lead of the game, as a matter of fact.
And Tim Frazier and DJ Newbo, they've been playing minutes in the 30. Newbo played all 45 minutes in the game against St. John's. He's averaging 33 minutes a game. You know what? These guys are going to have to get used to it.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going to be all season.
Newbo with Zana coming over to try and deter those long arms. Just got it over him. And Newbo with a good second half. He's got 8 in the second, 12 in the game. 12th tie of the ball game. They clear out the floor. It's Zana against Jack. To live, Zana continuing to do it.
I think you got your 3 best scorers on the floor right now for Pitt: Zana, Lamar Patterson, and Jerron Johnson. Then you got the other guys coming in to play defense, keep things quick, and to disrupt Penn State.
This looks like Pitt's best offensive lineup, at least based on the point total here in the second half already.
I'd agree with you.
Newbo, dangerous passers. Taylor against Patterson inside. Good deterrence that time by Lamar Patterson. Pitt looks for its largest lead of the game.
Great job by Patterson to defend that with his chest. You know, he could have taken the charge there and gotten the call, but he stayed true. That's that 10 pounds he's added. That's where that makes a difference.
Good reach by Frazier, but Newkirk gets it. Patterson off to Zana for the largest Pitt lead of the game. By the Pittsburgh Steelers, 4-time Super Bowl champion. The Hall of Famer is in the building tonight. And another guy I imagine is pretty excited about this rivalry being renewed. We showed you Frank Coonelly, the president of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Penn State grad who's got ties to Pittsburgh, obviously, as the president of the Pirates. Everybody is excited for this rivalry to be back. There's Frank. 4-point game. It's been physical. It's been fun. And I'm glad it's back.
You know, just even talking to some of the cops out front when we were parking our cars, they were talking about how excited they were that this rivalry is back.
Just the second free throw miss of the night for Pittsburgh. Donovan Jack picked up his 4th foul before the timeout. And it's the largest lead of the game for the Panthers at 4.
Now for Pitt, if they can just get that backyard brawl going again with West Virginia, boy, they'd be all set.
Shot clock at 10. Here's Newble. Frazier. He's got Newble on the wing. Good defense by Wright. And Frazier still somehow gets it to go down. He's had a huge night. 19 points.
I mean, the guy never panics. Do you ever see his face in a sense of, I don't know what I'm going to do with the ball? No. He is completely comfortable with the rock.
Offensive foul is called. Meanwhile, for the 23rd year, the best college football players in the country honored at the Home Depot College Football Awards. You can join the game day team Thursday, December the 12th from the Walt Disney World Resort. And you see somebody's up for the award for the best defensive player and best interior lineman. That's Pittsburgh's Aaron Donald. You'll see him as a candidate on Thursday, December the 12th at 7 Eastern. That last foul was called on Talib Zana. And Frazier going to the rim. Got deterred inside by Deron Johnson.
The last 2 series, Deron Johnson has been great at playing help side. Just a quick help and recover. Tim Frazier driving the basket here, losing his balance and then hitting his head as he goes down. I didn't see any Pitt player make contact. I don't know. He may have just bumped it on the floor, but I did not see a Pitt player make contact with his head to get that foul call.
Newkirk stopped in the lane, got the friendly roll. Josh Newkirk with 4 points. Pittsburgh leads again by 4. Here's Taylor. He'll fire a long-range triple. Long rebound to Johnson. Pitt trying to extend its largest lead of the game. Wrights. Will do so. Wisniewski called for the foul, his first.
It's a high-risk, high-reward shot for Brandon Taylor. Although it doesn't lead to a fast break point, the defense isn't completely set, and Wright understands the timing of that play. Everybody's not set in position. They're waiting for the offense to start, and that was a great recognition of the lane opening up for him. And for a guy who missed a wide-open layup, had a bad foul called against him in the first half, had to go back and get his hand retaped. You see him trying to make up now for some of those plays. As a player, if you make a couple of mistakes, there's nothing you want more than to repay those for your team.
Largest Panther lead of the game. Newble kind of forced that one up in the face of Randall, but still got it to go down. And Newble's big second half continues.
Penn State now moving to a 2-3.
Yeah. Both defenses have switched in and out of man and zone, trying to confuse the offenses. Randall with contact. The transfer from Rutgers with his first field goal of the night. And Pittsburgh's back up by 6 as we approach 8 minutes remaining.
You got to be aware if you're in a 2-3 zone, that short corner is going to be open. So the ball's at the top of the key. There's no reason to leave that kind of space open.
Big hedge there by Randall, and he gets called for the foul. It'll be his first of the night. Pittsburgh has taken command of this ballgame. They lead by 6. Anish Shroff has an update on the Big Ten ACC Challenge on the other side. Nish, thank you very much. This is the 15th Big Ten ACC Challenge, but the first for the Pitt Panthers, their first year in the ACC. They've got a veteran, Talib Zanna, who had a slow start, but he's had a huge second half.
Well, he's given them really efficient minutes. I mean, 26 minutes played right now, 14 points. He's only missed 3 shots on the night. And what I love about watching him play is how patient he's become. He's more aggressive, but he's more patient. You got to let the game come to you, and Talib Zanna really picking his spots.
3 blocks on the night for Zanna as well. That's a career high. He's got that steal in the game. Actually, 4 blocks on the ball game tonight.
Don't short the guy. He's worked hard for those blocks, man.
Was that a short joke? Never mind. I'm not getting into this with you. 14 for Zanna. He had just 2 at the halftime break. Pittsburgh leads by 6. And Brandon Taylor got free, and that's a great foul by Josh Newkirk to recover and force Taylor to try to earn it at the line. Both teams in the bonus rest of the way here in this second half. Brandon Taylor, sophomore from New Jersey. And Brooke talked about his athleticism and his physical body change. Went from about 23% body fat down to 14. It's gone up a little bit since the beginning of the season, just with the games being played and more food being consumed. But a lot of hard work by Brandon Taylor, who had to play a lot of minutes as a freshman with the injury to Frazier. He's got 8 points tonight. It's down to a 5-point lead for Pitt.
And at this point in the game, you know, when you got your guys playing a lot of minutes, and Taylor hasn't sat out for a whole bunch, that's where losing 30 pounds in that conditioning is going to come into play. What a backdoor.
Wright's got to finish that. Who was last to touch? It'll be Penn State basketball. Well, look at the Big Ten ACC Challenge. The ACC won the first 10. The Big Ten won the next 3. It was tied last year. Good games going on right now as well. Illinois, Georgia Tech. That's a good game as well on ESPN2. Notre Dame, Iowa later on tonight. And Tim Frazier certainly being one of the stars here of the Big Ten ACC Challenge. He draws the foul and he'll go to the line for 2.
And we'll be able to catch most of that Michigan-Duke game. Okay.
Absolutely. See what has happened the last 4 years. Big Ten has not lost a challenge title. Actually, I was scanning on Twitter earlier. John Beilein, coach of Michigan, his first job, Canisius, the first game he ever coached, that's the Duke Blue Devils. Big game tonight, Michigan and Duke. That's going to make an impact when we get down to March for sure.
All full circle, but it was 6-6 last year in terms of Big Ten ACC Challenge, and the Big Ten had claimed the previous 3 years, but the ACC has dominated this thing. They've won 10 of the last 14 years, so it's really been the ACC's challenge, and you know, tonight you just look at Pitt and they're really trying to put a hammer into this game, but Penn State has been able to stay around because they're continuing to find their places where they can score. Tim Frazier in the open court has been phenomenal.
To Newbold, but a traveling violation. That's the 7th turnover for Penn State. 2 teams that are physical. They don't turn the ball over. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They usually shoot better than what we've seen so far tonight, but the defenses have a lot to do with why the point total is a lot lower for these 2 teams. Remember, these 2 offenses in their first 7 games for Pittsburgh and 8 games for Penn State average better than 80 a ball game.
I feel like 2 teams that are evenly matched, even though they may score a lot of points and average a lot of points, you put those 2 teams on the floor, you're just not going to get a lot of point production. Get some good stops, and you know, keep in mind the pride factor. And this is a big in-state rivalry, so neither team is going to go down without a big fight.
These 2 teams part of the renewal of it. Zanna. Feels like it's been a while since he's missed a shot. Penn State with a 3 can tie the game. Frazier going inside, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Pittsburgh's got to do a better job of recognizing when he's driving and he's off balance, and he's basically, he was facing the Penn State bench when he let go of that shot. You've got a player with that off balance. If he can make the shot, go for it, but don't give him the 2 free throws at the line there. You're just hurting yourself, put yourself more into foul trouble, and giving him the confidence to score. I mean, let him try and miss a couple of those. If he makes them, it's a heck of a play, but let him shoot it and box out and see what you can do to get the rebound.
Frazier, 7 of 8 at the free throw line tonight. His career high is 30. He's closing in on that right now. It's down to a 1-point game. Petersen cutting, got past Newble, got position, and missed the easy one. Second effort, no. Taylor the rebound. Nittany Lions look for the lead. Taylor, a 3 for the lead. Frazier tapped it, but loose to Johnson. Here comes Pitt.
Taylor's got to follow his shot. He had DJ Newble as the pressure release to come back and stop the fast break if Pitt had one.
Here's Newkirk. Beautiful pass to Zana. Got pinned inside by Taylor. And that's the 4th foul on Brandon Taylor, which will send Zana to the foul stripe for 2.
See, to me, that's a case of him missing the 3-point shot and getting back and still thinking about it rather than getting a good defensive position and making sure you're bodying up to Zana, who's fighting to get position on that inside block. You can't assume you know what somebody's thinking in that sense, but just by reading his body language and seeing where he was in position, that's what I'm assuming.
So now Taylor's got 4 fouls. Donovan Jack has 4 fouls, and he's going to come into the game for Taylor. So your 2 main front court players, Jack and Taylor, are both saddled with 4 fouls.
I'll tell you what, Adam, though, I really like the way that Donovan Jack has worked off the screen and roll. I would go back to that set, give the ball in the hands of Tim Frazier or Newble, let him work off of that, because I think Jack moves well without the basketball and off the screen and roll.
And Pittsburgh had not missed a whole lot of free throws, and missed a few lately. Right on cue, Frazier finds Donovan Jack off the bench and back on the board, and Penn State's back in front.
See, I think those two work really well together, because Donovan is constantly, he's got his eyes looking right at Tim Frazier. Jamie Dixon knows that was a mistake.
We'll use a timeout. 2 left for the Panthers, 3 left for the Nittany Lions, and 5:05 left at the Peak. This is the look that you just saw.
Off the screen and roll, and the short corner pass, the no look, slicing it through, catching Zana sleeping just a little bit. Boy, he's assuming that guy is just out of his reach, and we've seen Zana with the length. Surprised he didn't get a tip on it.
Well, one of the nation's top players highlights ESPNU's Big 12 SEC Challenge Friday night. Marcus Smart and the number 9 Cowboys get set to host the South Carolina Gamecocks. It's at 9:30 on ESPNU and watch ESPN. Marcus Smart, probably one of the top 5 players in the country. Give me your top 3 maybe that you're feeling right now.
Well, I think there's no question. I mean, you know, the freshman out there, Jabari Parker, is everything. And when I watch him, I see so many elements of LeBron James, and of course, Julius Randle is good, and Andrew Wiggins. But, you know, to me, Marcus Smart is a player that is so powerful in the way he plays. And I think he's got a lot of elements that are going to translate well to the NBA level. I mean, Jabari as well. I think just from being ready to play, Marcus Smart, we got a little activity here going on.
Geno Thorpe and James Robinson kind of got into it a little bit there. Thorpe is going to get whistled for the foul as he was kind of jockeying for position with Robinson on the inbound. And then Robinson kind of flipped his arms up when Thorpe was hanging on to him. It's a foul on Thorpe, and shots coming for Robinson. This was after the play.
Well, this carried over from the first half, because if you remember, Thorpe and Zana got into a little tuffle when they were just fighting for the ball. The jump ball had been called, and they were still able to hold on to it after the whistle blew.
And they're going to actually go back and, well, at least for a second, Tony Green went back to the monitor to check something. I wonder if maybe it was the clock, but now we've got a stoppage on the floor. And now Mike Eads is whistling and saying, hey, 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 come back. There's no stoppage. There's no timeout here. There's no officials timeout. I'm not sure what Tony Green wanted to check on just then. It didn't seem like there was anything going on outside of Thorpe and Robinson jawing at each other, and that ended relatively quickly. So we're back to hoops, and it's Robinson at the line. 2 free throws here. Robinson with his first point of the second half. Tie ball game.
And to me, when you've got tight games like this, I mean, here we are tied with just over 5 minutes left. I always think that the more aggressive team wins the ball game. You got to find a way to do it without fouling. And Penn State's not a deep team, and you've got a couple guys with 3 or more fouls here, so they've got to be careful. But again, on offense, their strength, Penn State says, is to get in the lane and to draw fouls. They've done a terrific job of doing it today, and Pitt has as well. They finished a lot of those three-point plays just by being aggressive and picking their spots to attack.
Frazier had a steam against Robinson. Zana corrals the rebound. Here is Zana, 14 points, 8 rebounds. He finds Petersen. That's a three. Four-point lead and a timeout for Penn State.
The three from Petersen off the catch and shoot. His feet look completely balanced, and that's an area of his game that he's really developed in that transition. Off the catch and shoot, coming off of the screen. His hands are ready, his feet are ready. And a big-time shot from Lamar Petersen.
Only 4 points in the first half. He's got 7 in the second. That was his first three-point attempt of the game, and he's Pitt's best three-point shooter, and he buried it to give Pitt a 4-point lead once again in what has been a back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and call it a brawl tonight here in the state of Pennsylvania.
I think that's fair. Just don't call it a backyard brawl. That's already been taken.
How about the Panther offense? Really struggled in the first half. They shot a ton of free throws in the opening 20, so they've stayed in the game. And their offense has gotten back to form here in the second half. Petersen's come alive. Cameron Wright has come alive. Talib Zana has come alive. All of them struggled in the first half.
And that's exactly right. They've come alive because they played more aggressively. More aggressive shots lead to easier buckets.
Oh, there's the switch. Petersen guarding Frazier now. Newble off a screen. On the deck, into traffic, out to Roberts. Big time three for Allen Roberts, his second of the second half, and it's back down to a one-point game. Robinson left open. Off target, and Penn State with a chance to take the lead. Inside of 4 minutes to go.
Well, you'd rather leave Robinson open for that three than to expose and leave Talib Zana in the post and allow him to get the ball.
Zana the hedge. Frazier guarded by Wright. He knew it was off target, tried to chase it down. Zana corrals his 9th rebound of the game. One shy of a double-double. Newkirk in the lane, back out to Petersen. A deep three, way off. Little heat check there for Lamar Petersen. Frazier in the open floor, off to Newble, blocked by Zana. Petersen, Robinson. Patrick Chambers wants a timeout. 2.5 to go in a 3-point game, and Talib Zana a career high 5 blocks tonight.
Just the timing, to have a block like that without fouling, then to run the floor and the unselfishness. Pitt, always a good passing team. The dish to James Robinson for the finish. And what did I just say a couple minutes ago? The more aggressive team will win this ball game. And right now, Pitt is doing just that.
Last time these two teams met, it was 2005, and you're looking at the Pittsburgh box score when they blew Penn State out by 37. It was names like Aaron Gray. LaVance Fields was a freshman that year. They're going in the Wayback Machine, it feels like, and it really wasn't that long ago. It just feels like a much longer span of time since these two teams have met, but it feels like old times right now. Pittsburgh in a back-and-forth game has a 3-point lead, and coming up next, more of the Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Take it to the barn. Florida State's playing well. Minnesota gets set to host the Seminoles. You'll see Andre Hollins in action. He's up for the John R. Wooden Award, a preseason top 50 candidate. It's coming up next on ESPNU when we're done at the Pete, where Pitt leads by 3. Shot clock down to 7. Frazier trying to get the ball, and it's knocked away by Robinson in the open floor. Pitt takes a timeout. They lead it by 5 with 2:09 remaining. And more aggressive play leads to more easy buckets.
And a real good heads-up play there, too, by Robinson. Just reading the body language of Jack. He knew the pass was going to come, so he gets his hands out in the lane. You know, Pitt's a team that you can always count on them to play defense. They will dial it in. And right now, it's a game of pride. And these guys love it.
Adam Amin, Brooke Weisbrod at Petersen Event Center, where non-conference opponents are 3-105 all-time against Pittsburgh. First meeting in 8 years between these two, part of the 15th annual Big Ten ACC Challenge. Penn State has led by as many as 7 in the game, as many as 6 in the first half, or in the second half. Pittsburgh has led by as many as 7 here in the second half. They lead by 5 now with 2:09 remaining. Penn State basketball down by 2 scores. Nuba will fire a 3. That's off the heel. Long rebound for Pitt and Newkirk. Cameron Wright took a spill into the bench. Patrick Chambers helped him up. Here's Zana against Travis. Isolated. Zana inside. Pitt ties its largest lead. 90 seconds left. Frazier. Tough finish by Tim Frazier. And a timeout with 1:25 left. Penn State and Pitt each have 1 timeout remaining. We still have the media timeout coming on the next dead ball. That's not a timeout. And ESPNU's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. In the Steel City tonight at the Petersen Event Center. Great ball game. A 5-point lead for the Panthers. Pittsburgh has the basketball coming up next. What are you looking for both sides here? What's the biggest factor you're looking at in the final stretch?
Well, I think Penn State hit it right on. I mean, Tim Frazier continuing to drive and to score from those drives. I didn't like the 3 from DJ Nuba. I didn't think that's a good decision to make. Pitt's going to play patient. Pitt's going to look to go inside. They're going to try and score inside the paint, and they're just going to defend. They're going to force Penn State to try and shoot from the outside. You know, if you're Pitt right now, what I would do, I would face guard Tim Frazier. I would not allow him to touch the basketball the last 90 seconds of this game.
He's got 25 points for the 4th time this season. Meanwhile, Talib Zana, who had a brutal first half, didn't get a whole lot of touches, didn't put up a lot of shots, has 14 of his 16 here in the second half, along with a career high in blocks, closing in on a double-double, and the Oakland Zoo in full throat again.
Couldn't ask for a better atmosphere than this tonight, could you? This is perfect.
What a night. A lot of fun. Full court pressure here from the Nittany Lions. Zone press for the Nittany Lions. Robinson gets it over midcourt.
Penn State obviously going back to man-to-man. You can't afford to play zone at this stretch in the game. You just need to try and get the ball back as soon as you can.
There's Petersen. Inside. Got it to go. has tied its largest lead of the night, and Lamar Petersen, who was pretty silent in the first half with 4, has a chance at a 3-point play and maybe a chance to put it away for Pitt. And Anish, ACC off to a good start, trying to make it 3-0. And Pitt has tied its largest lead of the ball game at 7 here. 1:04 remaining in the ball game. And Lamar Petersen will have a chance to extend the largest lead of the night. The 4th foul on Ross Travis. So Travis, Jack, and Taylor, the 3 biggest starters for Penn State, all have 4 fouls now. And Lamar Petersen has 14 points, 10 of them here in the second half. And Pitt leads by 8, largest lead on either side in this game. Newble inside with 3 white jerseys around him, but he does draw a foul. He'll get it on Lamar Petersen, his 3rd. 2 shots coming. Franco Harris, the Penn State grad, the Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Famer, and former Seattle Seahawk. Big win for the Seahawks last night as well. He looks on. You know he's got to be cheering for Penn State. You got to think, right? I mean, I know he's a legend in this city, and they will always love him being part of the 4 Super Bowl titles, but you got to think he's cheering we are right now inside, right?
Thinking we are trying to get back into this ball game is what he's thinking.
I'm with you. Sounds like a rivalry, if you ask me, in this building. Zana, what a second half. He'll get a breather with 55.7 left. DJ Newbill. Good second half for him as well. That's the lead back down to 6. Penn State had the advantage in points in the paint of the first half. It's been all Pitt here in the second.
Yeah, I believe Penn State is a 16-8 advantage there in the first half. So what a change of events, and clearly the message sent by Jamie Dixon both in halftime and throughout the second half. Stop waiting around for your outside shot. Look to take it inside, pass the basketball, be unselfish, and play good defense.
Missed by Newkirk at the foul line. Brandon Taylor back in with 4 fouls. Pitt is 5 for 10 in its last 10 free throw attempts, but Newkirk splits a pair, puts him back up by 7, makes it a 3-possession game. Florida State, Minnesota from the barn when we're done. Frazier, jack up a three. Zana going sky high for a double-double. And a whistle and a foul against the Nittany Lions. And it feels all but academic at this point, barring a miracle comeback for Patrick Chambers' team. And Lamar Petersen will go to the line to potentially ice this game. Redshirt senior from Pennsylvania. He committed to Duke, or I should say Pitt, after Pitt beat Duke at Madison Square Garden back in December of 2007. He was there for that game. And after that game, he decided to commit to Jamie Dixon. He's going to get a shot at the Blue Devils at the Pete, January the 27th. And I think a lot of ACC teams are going to realize this is not a place you're going to want to come visit. Cameron Indoor is phenomenal. It's one of the best atmospheres in basketball. But this gets tough. I don't want to say one's better than the other or one's more tough, but we're talking about a good comparison. Cameron to the Oakland Zoo. The ACC's learning about it right now as Frazier puts it in. He's got 27 points.
Well, no question. You got that, but you've also got a Pitt team that's starting to gain some national attention as the top 25 comes out each week. Pitt got 10 points this week in the vote, so people are starting to recognize this team, and this is a position they haven't been in before. Jamie Dixon telling us usually we start off the season ranked in maybe the top 10 or the top 15. Right now, nobody really knows about us, so we're trying to build up our acknowledgement throughout the country, and this is a team that goes deep. They'll play 8 to 10 guys. We're seeing that tonight in the balanced scoring. Zana with 16, Petersen 16, Robinson with 10. These guys share the basketball and they defend, and to me, a team that can do that is always in the hunt.
Cam Wright had a big second half. It was Wright and Robinson and Zana and Petersen all coming alive in the second half, getting Pitt, which was down by 2 at the halftime break, up by as many as 8 here in this half. Fourth man in double figures for the Panthers is Cam Wright. Shot clock turned off. Newble inside will go to the line. Seen some great performances. Zana's got to stick out, I think. Newble has had a good night tonight. Frazier had the big first half and has been consistent all night long. Florida State and Minnesota are coming up next. You can see it on ESPN3 right now and on your Watch ESPN app if you're looking for it, but we will get you to the barn as soon as these final 25.5 seconds tick off. Physical game tonight. 44 fouls in this ball game tonight between these two. And Penn State playing to the final whistle. Thorpe call for that foul.
Great second half effort from Pitt. I thought they looked a little bit timid in the first half. Penn State came in. They shot a 3 right away from Frazier. They were playing good defense, keeping it out of the paint for Pittsburgh. But boy, did they come back in the second half and show some aggressiveness. And then that was started by Talib Zana. I mean, he really was the guy to get things going.
That steal out on the perimeter, out of the hands of Frazier, that kind of, it felt like, and again, there are several plays that kind of led to this, but that's the one that kind of sticks out in your mind that really turned the tide a little bit for Pitt.
Oh, no question. I mean, the crowd basically exploded behind us when that happened, so I think you're right on.
Deron Johnson's night is done. Penn State down by 9. Newble off target on the 3. It'll be Pitt basketball for 13.5. A lot of people were asking for it. It's been 8 years since these two teams have squared off. And it was a fun one tonight. I think everybody in this building and in the state of Pennsylvania who's a basketball fan is pretty glad that we've got another physical rivalry to keep an eye on for the next couple of years. Final score tonight, Pitt 78, Penn State 69. And the ACC is off to a 3-0 start here in this ACC Big Ten Challenge presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. 4 in double figures tonight for the Panthers. They win it by 9. Now we send you to Florida State and Minnesota. We send you to the barn.